All right, this week we got the Khamar Daban incident.
I don't know what it is. Stop waiting for a reply.
On August 2nd, 1993, a group of 7 hikers set out on an expedition through the Khamar Daban mountain range in Siberia. The Khamar Daban mountain range isn't considered a dangerous hike and is popular among tourists. The group consisted of Valentina Yudichenko, Tatiana Filipenko, Victoria Zalazova, Alexander Kryson, Denis Shvakin, Tamar Bapanov, and 41-year-old group leader Ludmila Korovina, who was considered an expert survivalist. The group was followed by Ludmila's 16-year-old daughter, Natalia, who was leading a group of her own. The plan was for the two groups to eventually meet up and finish the hike together. On August 4th, a heavy snowstorm hit the group, which set them off course to meet with Natalia's group. On the top of a summit, the group would set up their tent for the night. The next morning on August 5th, the group arose from their tent to find a layer of snow on the ground, leading them to descend the summit into the cover of the woods. Soon after leaving, Alexander suddenly fell to the ground. He began foaming at the mouth and bleeding from his nose and ears. Ludmila stayed behind with him while she ordered the rest of the group to continue the descent. Soon after continuing on, the group heard a scream from Ludmila. They rushed back to see that Alexander was dead, and Ludmila was on the ground, exhibiting the same symptoms as Alexander. All of a sudden, Victoria and Timur fell on the ground and began twitching. They also started bleeding the same way Alexander did. They started tearing their clothes off and grabbing at their necks as if they were choking. During this time, Denis ran away in fear. Tatiana also began ripping her clothes off and grabbed her throat. She then rushed over to a rock and began smashing her head on it until she went limp. Denis re-emerged, and a short time later, he also collapsed and began bleeding the same way the others did, eventually dying. Valentina grabbed some supplies and ran away into the forest. She survived for several days before being found and rescued by a couple of kayakers. She was taken to the police to file a report, but due to the trauma she faced, she did not speak. Nearly 3 weeks later, on August 24th, an official search began, and eventually the bodies were found. Some of the bodies were found close together, while others were found a short distance away. Due to the amount of time that had passed, the bodies had no eyes, and animals had slowly been eating their remains. The autopsies found that they all had bruised lungs. It was determined that Ludmila died from a heart attack, but everyone else died from hypothermia. It was also determined that the group had a protein deficiency caused by starvation and extreme hypothermia. Officials concluded that the group hadn't been eating enough during their trip and died due to the cold conditions.
Protein deficiency, starvation, hypothermia.
But
I feel like in 2 days that doesn't happen that fast.
But that's completely different from what the chick said too. The girl, the one surviving victim.
Yeah, who said that
They went crazy.
started? Yeah.
Yeah, they started foaming at the mouth and bleeding from.
It sounds like
heads.
rabies.
It does, but rabies doesn't.
Or like
set in that
some kind of
fast.
anthrax.
Rabies doesn't set in that fast though. I don't know about anthrax, but yeah, no.
Because there is like chronic wasting disease.
Yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't happen
It's just
as
strange that it just all happened at the same time. You know, like when stuff happens
Yeah.
like that, it's like kind of more like a domino effect. You know, one
Mhm.
person, then another, not
Yeah, it'd be spaced out by like days.
all of it happening at the same time. This conclusion is very different from Valentina's accounts, so with that, let's get into the theories. Our first theory is the one reached by officials, that the group died from hypothermia. Official reports and Valentina's story both agree that the area had been under extreme rain. Combined with the high altitude and the lower temperatures in August, it would make sense that the group was suffering from hypothermia, and with their clothes being wet, this could drastically decrease body temperature, causing them to drop dead. With Valentina's entire group dead, and her being alone for several days, her mind might have warped her memory of the event. However, the group had been in a warm tent the previous night and slept in dry sleeping bags. It wouldn't make sense for them to just drop dead from hypothermia right after leaving their tent. It also doesn't make sense that 6 people dropped dead from hypothermia all in the same spot, yet Valentina continued on for multiple days. As for the protein
Also, like if you're like walking with a backpack uphill, dude, you're gonna be sweating your balls off. I don't care how cold it is outside.
As for the protein deficiency, Valentina ate the same foods as the others, so once again, it doesn't make sense that they all died with her continuing on.
Yeah, I think that's a terrible theory.
But, of course,
Of course, it's the one the Russians come to.
Our second theory is the supernatural. With the strangeness of the case, some believe that the supernatural is to blame.
I'm not going into anything more because
Why?
I think it's all ridiculous.
What
could have
Come
been?
on, come on.
What could have been that's supernatural?
Possession.
Aliens.
Burial ground.
A what?
Possession. A burial ground. They were walking past. Got possessed. Went mad.
Okay. No, I don't think it's
Okay,
that.
fine.
Why would there be a burial ground on a summit on a mountain range in the middle of nowhere?
I don't know. Why are there burial grounds anywhere?
To bury people?
Our third theory is that the group ate something poisonous. Group leader Ludmila was known to forage for food during hikes. It's possible that she had unknowingly found some poisonous mushrooms or berries and gave them to the group to eat. There are many poisonous mushrooms that can cause seizures, internal bleeding, and eventually death. However, Ludmila was an expert and knew the area extremely well. It's unlikely that she would have eaten something without 100% knowing what it was. As mentioned before, the group also ate together, and Valentina said nothing about the group eating anything strange.
That one makes a lot of sense. I like the mushroom one.
I don't know.
Except for, I don't know, maybe...
It just doesn't make sense because she just says that they ate nothing strange, you know? And if they ate together, so it's likely that she would have eaten the same thing too.
I mean, did they like Valentina? Maybe they wanted to like trip balls and didn't want her to do it with her, so they like all ate some mushrooms in secret.
They pulled a big like ruse on her and were like, "Oh,
Yeah,
Valentina, go over there."
Yeah, it's like when we hang out with Matt. And we like, he's there, but we do shit without him all the time.
Our fourth theory is that the Russian government was doing chemical testing in the area. Russia has a history of testing nuclear and chemical weapons in undisclosed locations and keeping them a secret. Between the 1970s and 1990s, they developed a group of nerve agents called Novichok. Novichok poisoning has symptoms of nausea, trouble breathing, and seizures, which are some of the symptoms the group showed. Perhaps Russia was conducting an experiment on the summit and the hikers had unfortunately stumbled upon the test site. It should also be noted that the Soviet Union fell in 1991. During this time, many chemical weapons went missing and weren't accounted for, suggesting that the government might have dumped these weapons in order to hide them. Maybe the hikers had stumbled upon one of these dumping grounds. It's very unlikely, but it's possible that if the group had been exposed to something, that Valentina wasn't affected. Right after Valentina had been found, a pair of hikers went missing in the same area, yet officials didn't start searching for these missing hikers for a week after they were reported missing. This strange behavior, along with the investigators taking over 3 weeks to look for Valentina's group, makes some wonder if the officials knew that there was something wrong with the area and were waiting for it to clear. It should also be noted that this whole case gained little media attention, which was strange considering the unexplainable circumstances surrounding it, suggesting that the government may have been trying to cover it up. However, as mentioned earlier, the Khamar Daban mountain range was a popular place for people, and the place was usually monitored, so it's unlikely that Russia had dumped weapons there instead of somewhere else more remote.
Anything in Russia is kind of shady, so.
Yeah, I just want to like be there. I want to be like a fly, just like looking at him.
Like the
What really happened?
the Stooge, how he goes back to Christmas past.
Yeah,
Hey, we should do that.
yeah. I want to do that. I want to know what happens.
Our final theory is an unknown phenomenon. Maybe some strange phenomenon that has never been seen before took place in that one area. With the bodies not being found for weeks, and with this never happening before, scientists didn't find a trace of whatever it was.
Strange phenomenon.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It's just never happened before, and they don't know. But yeah, what do you think happened?
Dude, I don't know.
I think it was a strange phenomenon that's never.
I
been
think
seen
yeah.
before.
I don't think it was government stuff because they'd all be fucking dead. She wouldn't have
Yeah.
survived. The food is kind of believable. Maybe she just didn't eat enough. I don't know.
Enough of their
Like
bad
maybe they
food.
maybe they did eat something that Well, it's safe if you only consume a little. I don't know.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I literally just don't know why people would how 6 people can just start bleeding from their eyes, nose, mouth, and ears. Was it their eyes? They're bleeding from it was just the nose, mouth, and ears, and foaming
Yeah.
at the mouth, and just start bashing their heads on rocks. You know.
Sounds like a nerve agent, dude. That's what it sounds like. Cause you hear like World War I stories of like when they'd use that in like trench warfare, people would go fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's just the whole thing about losing your mind. It's just like, it bothers you, you know.
Yeah,
It's like
it's very
like the
scary.
one thing that literally the only thing that you have control over in your life is
Mhm.
yourself, but you can't even control that.
Yeah.
It's weird to think about.